Okay, the data that you're about to see is time, starting in about 1953 and going to produce in the future to the year 2030. And it's the countries of the world, crude birth weight per 1,000 people in the population. And if we start to play this, we'll see that we've picked Zambia, who starts off with a population somewhere around, there's China, a rate of 44 births per 1,000. New Zealand, which is about 26, considerably less. And Zambia somewhere in here, can't really find it, but it's around 49. Now, when we start to play this, 1953, we can see that there's a significant decline in population in China during the 50s. And then it sort of recovers a little bit. Zambia is going up. It's increasing. By 1959, it's now at 48, around 48, 49. And the New Zealand population really hasn't changed considerably. So we'll continue from 1959, and we can see that China is rebounding a little bit and then starting to drop off, and there's a significant decline in population in birth rates for New Zealand from the year decline in birth rates for New Zealand at that point, and China's birth rates are increasing. And it's almost linear increase for Zambia. If we keep on going for another, we have this huge drop in China's birth rates. And from what we can tell, this was because it was a large population explosion in China around the 60s, 70s, 70s and 80s. They started to introduce family planning and the one-child policy and so on within China to help sort of alleviate the population explosion. And we keep going, and that explosion continues, and then it starts to taper off, and then it goes through another decline. And you can see that Zambia's kind of slowly over time, the birth rates are declining, but it's still well above the other nations. You can see now that New Zealand and China are basically in the same position. The prediction is that these will continue to decline until we have about 10 or 11 births per 1,000 people in China and New Zealand, whereas with Zambia, we're still quite high at about 31, and that although it's going to decline, it's not going to decline nearly as significantly as it did for China and for New Zealand.